Good morning, Longhorns. My name is Ms. McFarland and I am your Assistant Principal for Curriculum. The purpose of today's homeroom is to go over some graduation requirements. But before we do that, I wanted to make sure everybody has the proper paperwork. You should have your PSAT booklet, which should accompany your PSAT Scantron. You took the PSAT back in October. These are your results, and the booklet will teach you how to read your results, and you can go back and study for the PSAT that you'll be taking in April. In addition to those two paperworks, you should also receive your permanent summary transcript. This is an individualized transcript that talks about you as the student. It goes over all of your credits, it has your ranking, it has your homeroom, it has everything that you have done since you've enrolled at Leonard. We're going to talk about that paper and simultaneously with the graduation requirements. Okay, now that you've digested the paperwork and you've been able to see what you have, I'd like you to glance at your permanent summary record worksheet. It looks something like this. This is the paperwork that we're going to describe and we're going to talk about today. But before we get to this, please look at the column right here that says the grades you earned, and then look at the cumulative summary screen. And while I go over the graduation requirements, just keep your eyes on this so that you can focus on what you need to graduate with a high school diploma. To begin, we're going to go over our graduation requirements. Currently, every single student is programmed for the 24 credit option. That is your standard diploma. To successfully receive a standard diploma, you have to qualify and meet certain benchmarks. So if you look at your cumulative summary sheet, you'll have all of the core classes and all of the requirements underneath the subject area. I'm going to talk about these and make sure that you guys are programmed correctly into these style classes. So first, you have to have 4 years of an English. That would be an English 1, an English 2, an English 3, and an English 4. You have to have 4 years of mathematics. One of the 4 years has to include Algebra 1 or its equivalent, and you have to have geometry. The other 2 years is up to the student, and it's up to you and your success as to what option you'd rather go. After your mathematics, you have to have 3 years of science, and every single student has to take biology. After that, you get to pick 2 equally rigorous courses under the science component to fulfill your grad requirement. Social studies, you have to have 3 years of success in a social studies class. You must have world history, you must have United States history or American history, you must have American government and economics. So your American government and your economics are your half credit classes, which will make up your entire year for your 3rd year of social studies. All right, after you have successfully fulfilled your 3 years of social studies, the next requirement is fine arts, and that would be a 1-year course requirement. And that's anything from digital infotech to TV production, to theater, any of your performing arts style classes. That's just 1 year, and you can fulfill that anytime in the 4 years that you're here for high school. The next one is physical education, and the required class is HOPE. A non-negotiable, everybody must fulfill HOPE. Then second, after HOPE, after your physical education, your requirements are 8 electives. Within the 8 electives, you must do 2 years of a world language, in addition to an online virtual course. So after all of that, on your summary sheet, it should say 24 credits needed. That's exactly what you need to graduate. So you have a few different components to hit your high school diploma. You have your credits, and then we have to talk about your GPA, and then we'll talk about the standardized tests that you have to meet benchmark scores on. So in order to accomplish your high school diploma, you have to meet your credits, which is 24. You have to have a 2.0 GPA, state GPA, and you also must show proficiency and benchmarks on a few standardized tests. The first one is your English FSA, which is your 2-day test that includes your reading comprehension and it includes your writing. You take both of those your 9th and your 10th grade year. So you have to show proficiency and growth and meet the state benchmarks for that test. Your FSA Algebra 1, which is a 2-day test again, and that is where you have to meet the state benchmark for that. And then your FSA Geometry, which is a 2-day test as well, and that's where you have to show proficiency. Usually within each state standardized test, you're taking the course simultaneously, and that is how you are showing your proficiency. You're passing the course in addition to passing the state benchmark. You also need to pass your U.S. history, and that is what you take as a junior year. It's your end of the course exam. So in order to make in order to get the credit, you have to pass your end of the course exam of U.S. history. And the same thing with biology. It's an end of the course exam that you have to pass in order to get your credit and in order to meet your state benchmark. So to recap, you have to pass your FSAs, which includes your English FSA, your Algebra 1 FSA, your Geometry FSA, and then you have to pass your end of the course exams for U.S. history and biology. Once you've hit those benchmarks and you've shown proficiency, then you have met the grad requirements and you are eligible to receive a high school diploma at the end of your senior year. Having said that, let's go over your student summary record worksheet, and we can talk about the different components that you need to keep up with and you need to make sure that you have fulfilled before you hit your senior year. And if you haven't fulfilled each of these components, then you need to make sure that you sit with your guidance counselor and come up with a game plan to accomplish each task. So we'll go case by case, step by step. And if you have any questions, you can email your guidance counselors via Eds V, or you can email me via Eds V. Or at this time, your homeroom teachers could probably help and assist. All right, so before we begin reviewing the student summary record summary worksheet, I just also want to make sure that every student has an Eds V account, and it's an active Eds V account. If you do not know how to get onto Eds V, ask your homeroom teacher, and or you can ask Ms. Benegas, the media specialist, during your lunch period. But Eds V is the vehicle of communication for our school, for our clubs, and for our guidance counselors. So make sure that your Eds V is up to date and you have a working Eds V account. That is how you see your grades and your report card and all important information with dates and times. All right, now back to the student summary permanent record. So we're going to go step by step. Obviously, the first few lines are your student name and your student number, your date of birth, your grade level, and the year that you entered high school. So if you entered high school on the 2017-2018 school year, then that means your graduation requirements include your online course. It's something that you have to take. You can't get away from it. So make sure that that is correct. Then the program of study, every single student, again, is programmed for college, so it should be a CA. And then your community service hours is what is entered into the system, and those are the ones that, the community service hours is how you apply for your Bright Futures. Any of your CTE industrial certifications require your community service hours, in addition to some scholarships, and community service hours are also highly recommended to put on your resume. So if you haven't started your community service hours, I would Eds V Miss King to see what you can do. Okay, so after your community service hours, you'll see your ESE primary exceptionality and 504. And those are categories that are designated for certain students who qualify for it. After that, you're going to see your district GPA and then your state GPA, your diploma, and your date. At this point, every single student should have a district GPA and a state GPA. So if you are sitting above a 2.0 with your state GPA, then right now, if you had to graduate, you would make the benchmark. For those of you that are sitting below a 2.0 on your state GPA, you need to figure out your plan of attack to increase your GPA. After that, we're going to go through your graduation requirements. Your graduation requirements are reading, and that would be your FSA test that you have to meet proficiency in. If it says an N, then that means you need to take it. If it says a Y, then that means you've already accomplished it. Same thing with math, same thing with Hope, and same thing with your virtual online period. So if it has a no or an N, it means that you have not successfully fulfilled the requirement. If it has a yes or a Y, it means you have definitely fulfilled the requirement. And you have to have all four of those components must be met during your senior year in order to graduate. Your Algebra 1 EOC, that's the next line, and that's the one where it'll give you your specific score and it'll tell you if you have met it or not. Again, that's a graduation requirement, so you must meet that, you must show proficiency. And then we talk about your class rank, which is the number of position, which is how many students. So if you're in rank number 1 out of 502, then that means that you are the first person, you have the highest GPA in the school. And then the total in the class and your proficiency. And the effective date is when this transcript was ran. So this is the most up-to-date transcript that every single student has. We're going to look at the cumulative summary. And again, we talked about this just a little bit ago regarding your graduation requirements. The columns on the left, your English, your math, science, American history, world history, economics, American government, practical arts, performing arts, career and technical, phys ed, foreign language, elective, and ESE. Those are the categories in which you have to accomplish every single credit. So to read that, we're going to start from the left and go to the right. So you have to have, in 9 to 12, which is the grade levels that we're focusing on, you have to have a total of 4 credits. So you'll look at the total in the middle, and then you'll look at the total needed, and then you'll look at the remaining credits. And that'll tell you how many credits you need. So for example, in this category, this student has accomplished 1 credit, he or she needs 4, and they have 3 remaining. So far we can conclude that this student has hit 1 out of his 4 English credits, meaning that they haven't failed English and they're on their way to accomplishing the last 3 credits. Mathematics is the same way. You have to have 4 credits. So this student has again successfully completed their first entire year of mathematics. So at this point, look at your cumulative summary sheet and start to see if the remaining credits are being deducted. If the remaining credits have been deducted from the needed credits, then it shows that you received credit for that class, meaning you passed that class with a D or higher. Once you've done that, you can start to figure out what classes you'll need to repeat, if that is the case with anybody. So you'll go down each cumulative summary column and you'll figure out from the needed credits and the remaining credits how much you have left. American history is also known as your U.S. history, and that is a class you take your junior year. So if you are a 9th and 10th grader, then that means that you should have a 1.0 in the needed column and a 1.0 in the remaining column. If you are a junior at this point, you will have a 0.50 in the remaining column as you have earned credit for first semester. Economics and American government can be taken in conjunction with your senior year or sometimes programmed in your freshman year. So again, the credits will show you, the 0.5 will show you whether you needed it and you've successfully fulfilled it. Practical arts and a performing arts can be taken at any time. So your transcript could show that it's successfully completed, or your transcript could show that you still need the class. Same thing with career and technical. If you look at the physical education column, everybody in school should either have a 0.50 or they have accomplished the 1.0, because most of your 9th and 10th graders take this class. If you're an 11th grader, it should already be fulfilled, and if you're a senior, it should definitely be fulfilled. Foreign language is part of your elective credits, so if you've explored the Spanish or the French that we offer, then you might have half a credit or an entire year, depending on your grade level. So again, the elective credits, you have to make sure you have at least 8, and the 8 has to include your foreign language and your online credit. And your safety net is if you go back up to your name and it says virtual online, if it says a no, then that means you need to sign up for an online class before your senior year. Do not wait until your senior year, because we do not want you to miss this element or have senioritis. So at the very bottom, it says the credits cumulative, and you need 24, and the total will tell you how many credits you've already accomplished towards your 24. So at the end of each semester, all students have the opportunity to earn 3.5 credits, so 3.5 credits. Accomplishing that goal will allow you to meet your graduation requirements within the 4 years you have at high school. Okay, moving from the credits to your testing information. Again, your testing information are the tests that you have to show proficiency and meet standard benchmarks on. Your FCAT or SSA, which is your FSA, each time that you take that test, you should have scores plugged in there. And then you should show growth with each score. So each score should have a number. If you've taken the test more than once, then the number should show growth. So if you started at a 300, and then to show growth, you need to get to a 350. From a 350, you need to get to a 400. That is how you show your proficiency, and that's how you meet your standard benchmark. So the next category is your biology EOC, your geometry EOC, and your U.S. history EOC. These 3 tests are considered your end of the course exams, as each student must show proficiency and hit the benchmark score to receive the credit and the pass rate for this designated test. Once you've done that, then you earn the credit for each of these categories, and each one of these is a graduation requirement, so you must pass the test and you must earn the credit in order to accomplish your 24 credits for your high school diploma. The next column is the PSAT, and this is something that every 9th grader, 10th grader, and 11th grader takes in October. And that is your different sub-scores. So you have your reading and your writing, you have your math. You just have your reading subject, your writing subject, your math subject, and the index score. These are all populated for you, so every 9th grader who was here in October should have these scores written on their summary transcript. And if it's not written just yet, then you're in luck because you have your PSAT booklet. So you can look at your PSAT booklet and you can look at your answer key and you can figure out what your score is and where you would rate in your reading and writing, your math, your reading subject, and then your writing and language. So below your PSAT, you'll see your SAT highest. And this is something that you accomplish your junior year. So if you're a junior looking at your transcript right now, you should have some scores within each column. Your SAT is another opportunity for you to take a test that'll get you into college, but also help you with your FSA if you haven't passed that. You could get a concordant score that's high enough to supplement for your FSA. It doesn't mean that's in place of your FSA. It means you still have to take your FSA for English and show proficiency and growth on that. But if you score a high score on that, then we could use that in addition to your FSA to help you meet your graduation requirements. And the ACT is the same style. It's another version of a test. It's another standardized test that'll help you get into college, and it focuses on your English, your math, your reading, science, and composition and writing. So the last category is PERT, and PERT is what is used for college designation, allowing you to take your dual enrollment style classes or allowing you to take a college-ready course. A few students are designated to take PERT. If this category doesn't fit your needs, that's okay. It's not a high school graduation. It's just an opportunity you can have to take dual enrollment courses. So we will move over to the other side of your permanent summary transcript, and that will be all of your grades. And we'll briefly talk about each grade or each course and what the grades mean. So you should look at the district number should say Florida, then the school number, your subject area, the school year, and your term. Your focus is making sure that right now, if you're in 9th grade, that all of your term 1 grades have been submitted and completed. And then if you're in 10th grade, you're going to work on your 9th grade, 9th and 10th grade years. So you should have all of 9th grade done, and you should have the first semester of 10th grade. And then 11th grade, you're going to focus on your 9th grade year, your 10th grade year, and the first semester of your junior year, making sure that all of your grades are in. Okay, so the first column we'll talk about is English. So this student as a 9th grader took English 1. They earned a C, and they got half of a credit. And then they decided that they were going to challenge themselves and try English 1 Honors second semester. So they also earned a B, and they earned a B in that class and got another half a credit. And if you look over there at the course flag, it says H. Anytime you see an H, that is an honors course, and the honors course is what will help you create your district GPA. And honors courses hold a little bit more weight than a regular course. And that is what makes up your district GPA. So for example, if you go back over to this person's district GPA, it says a 3.0366. So then that means that he or she got bonus points for taking an honors credit. So they got a little extra for attempting an honors course. That would be one of the benefits for challenging yourself. If you take an honors course, you have the ability to increase your district GPA, and the same thing happens when you take an AP course and a dual enrollment course. You get extra points added to increase your district GPA, which is why you usually see some district GPAs above a 5.0 or more. So we'll continue down. So it looks like this student has made all of their credits and they have not failed any of their classes. So that is how you make sure that you have gotten everything that you need and you are on track to graduate. So take a few minutes and review yours and see what you have failed. If you did fail something, it would say credits attempted and credits earned. It would say everybody should have a 0.50 for credits attempted, but the earned category could have a 0.000, which means that you did not show proficiency with that specific course. And if you have an F in that class, then it means you failed the class, and you will have to figure out a plan to recover that credit because you only have 4 years to make sure you get this done. At this point, if you look at your transcripts and you see that there's an error or you see that you have failed something, go ahead and email your guidance counselor, and your guidance counselor can set up an appointment with you to figure out how to recover the credit you missed or how to fix the error that you see. If you've taken an online course and it doesn't show in your GPA or it doesn't show on your permanent transcript, then that means that either Florida Virtual or Hillsborough Virtual has not submitted the final grade sheet, and that's something that the school needs in order to put it on your transcript. So if you have any questions or any scenarios like that, feel free to email your guidance counselor. And this way they can kind of guide you and navigate you with their next steps. So at this point, Longhorns, you have all the tools that you need to make sure that you are successful for graduation. If you have any questions or comments, or if you feel like you see a problem on your permanent summary transcript, feel free to email your guidance counselor or myself. We hope you have a great day and you make good choices towards graduation.